and I'm finally getting to my Harry Potter video and a few other things that I wasn't able to mention earlier. And so I went to the midnight premiere exactly a week ago from today. And there's so many things that I loved about the movie. There are a few things that I didn't like. So let me talk about what I didn't like first, because to be honest, I kind of liked all of it. There were just a few details that really bothered me. The scene from the bank, from the Gringotts, or not bank, but you know what I mean, right? The Gringotts vaults. I don't know, I feel like that looked really staged. And of course, I mean, it was a, movie scene and everything, but something about that whole part didn't flow right. I'm not really sure why. That was the beginning part too, so maybe it was just because I was so excited and I wasn't really like focused on it yet, so I'm not sure. I don't know, the whole Gringotts Falls thing, that scene was just, I don't know, it was just messed up. And the beginning of the movie, how they started at Luna's, I think it was Luna Lovegood's like house, right? That was kind of a slow opening, but I guess they had to, pick up from where they left off. So that was a little bothersome. Another thing that really bothered me, this is actually the biggest thing that I really noticed. So when I was reading the book, and there was the whole scene of like, when all the fighting was going on, and I'm pretty sure there was like the one part where Harry, like I think Ron and Hermione, Fred and George are all flying on their brooms through Hogwarts, and like there's explosions everywhere and stuff and big So in my mind when I was reading that scene, I really pictured this just orangey, like, this huge like flame everywhere, and like Hogwarts is just falling apart, crumbling, and they're like trying to get away and stuff. And I don't know, like they skipped out so much of that. Like they really took out a lot of the Hogwarts scenes from like that whole thing. And so I don't know, I feel like they should have included that more, especially the scene where, and again, this is from my perception when I was reading the book, and like when Fred, he dies, and then I remember he dies and George's ear is like comes off or something, and like this whole scene, and like Harry was there to see all this and stuff. They missed out this whole scene, and that really bothered me, because that is one scene from the entire book besides the epilogue which really stuck in my mind. Like when I think of Harry Potter 7, like that one moment of Fred dying, George losing his ear, the Weasleys, and then Harry and Hermione like all together, that's what I think of. So I was really disappointed with that. But I really did love the movie. I cried, and in our theater, like when like anything good happened, like, oh, one of my favorite scenes, sorry, dropped a pen. One of my favorite scenes was when Mrs. Weasley was like, Bellatrix, you don't do that to my daughter, you, and it was just hilarious. Everyone in the theater cheered. I was like clapping, and I was going crazy. I was really emotional with this because, I don't know, it's the last Harry Potter, so I really love that scene. And of course all the scenes with Draco Malfoy, those are pretty fun too. And you can assume why. So one thing that I was talking about earlier in my last video was, I think, TV, and I wanted to ask you if you watch Pretty Little Liars, because I am hooked onto that show. I didn't read any of the books. Rashi read all of the books, and I know what happens in the books because Rashi told me, but the show is really different from the books, and I actually like that, because that way for people who read it and then they're kind of taking it in a different direction, that means they don't already know what's gonna happen, you know what I mean? Like it's actually like a whole brand new series. So I'm really liking Pretty Little Liars, but to be honest, maybe 3-4 episodes ago I was getting so bored with it, and I was really just not liking it. I thought it was dull and it was becoming boring because they weren't answering any questions. It's like every single episode it would just be stuff, but there wasn't like anything substantial to it. Just, 45 minutes of just stuff, you know what I mean? So I wasn't really, but nowadays, like 3-4 episodes have been really, really good. So let me know if you watch it and what you think and all that kind of stuff. And okay, so I'm sure you're a reader. I already know you're a reader, so I'm just gonna talk about a few books. Lately I've been reading this book called Shanghai Girls, and I don't know the author because it's I downloaded the ebook on my phone, and I actually found this book when I was in Sam's Club, of all places, and I saw The Hunger Games, and I have I don't know if you've read the Hunger Games series. If you have, please let me know in your next video. Actually, here, let me show you my bookshelf. One sec. Okay, so here's my bookshelf. So see, I have all 3 of the Hunger Games books right here. And I know you said, oh, you have the Twilight series. Well, yes, I do, but I'm kind of over that now. That was like totally a middle school phase. Oh, and I don't know if you've read this series. It's called the Lux series. It is so amazing, and I highly, highly recommend it. And oh, as you can see, so I'm a huge Jane Austen fan, and I love Jane Eyre too, but that was just one book. But Jane Austen, that's like almost all of her works. So I found it at a Borders, and I was like freaking out because and then you can see I have a tennis book and a couple of cooking books because I really like to try out new recipes and stuff. So this is my bookshelf, and actually this isn't all of my books. You see these 2 baskets up here? They are full of books. And then I have The Hobbit. This is like the 25th anniversary edition or whatever. Oh, this is my little turtle. I made it in pottery. And it's just, I don't know, I made a turtle because I love Finding Nemo. So that's some of my bookshelf. If you're wondering what this is, for chemistry we had to make, I don't know if you've taken chemistry yet, but like there's the mole. So we had to make a mole, and so I made a mole. It's pink and stuff. One of my friends made a Harry Potter mole. It is amazing. So that's some of my books. Those are like the ones that are pretty and I can display. And the rest are here and all the way in my closet. My room is messy. I'm not going to show that part. Oh wait, and then I have some more books here. But these are like quick reads that, a little old, like, Little Princess and Song of the Sparrow, all that kind of stuff. Okay, let me go back to talking about the Shanghai Girls. So one second. Okay, so what I was saying was that I'm reading this book called Shanghai Girls, and I saw a copy of this in Sam's Club, and it looked really interesting, so I read it and stuff. So I'm actually reading the ebook right now, and it's an amazing, amazing like novel. I really recommend it. What it's about, it takes place in like the 1920s to the 1950s, and it's about these 2 Chinese sisters that are living in Shanghai around, they're in, what year? I mean, like late 1920s, and I want to say early 1930s. And they're these 2 sisters who are really, her dad owns like he owns a rickshaw company, I think, and so they're pretty like well off, and they're partiers, and they actually model, they're living a really good life. And then what happens is that their dad, he gambles away their money, and they all of a sudden have nothing. All their like savings and everything is gone. And so what happens is that her dad, these 2 sisters' dad, to repay his debt, he kind of basically sells his daughters to the guy he owns his debt to. The guy has 2 sons, and basically he says, you are marrying his two sons. You know, each sister marries one guy. And it talks about, I don't want to give too much away, but it talks about the oppression of women during this time, how and then that too, the Chinese culture and how they were often very forced to do stuff. I mean, they were forced to be married to these people who they had never met in their lives, who lived. It's a really touching story, but it's very meaningful. So I know this sounds like I've been going on about this for, I don't know, 3-4 minutes, but it's a really, really good book that discusses so many themes that are so meaningful. And so I really, really recommend this book. I hope I didn't give it away too. And it's not that big. It's like in book form, it's maybe not this big. And then on my ebook though, it's like 1,000 some pages. So, but that's because my phone screen is like so tiny. So definitely recommend that book and The Hunger Games. Okay, new topic. I've been going about this for too long. So I know earlier in, I think your first couple of videos, you mentioned what you wanted to do. You wanted to go into business and look at fashion trends and travel around the world, and that sounds really fun. And I know you said, you know, what do you want to do? So I don't really know which career path I want to take right now, but I do know like the bigger picture of what I want to do, and so I'll get to that in a minute. But when you mentioned like when I was little, you said I want to be a doctor, I'm surprised because I don't remember that. Did I really? I don't remember ever saying that, because I don't think that's ever been one of my top choices. Like, not that it's a bad job, it just hasn't been, you know, up there on the list. So, and one of the things that's bad is that I like everything. Okay, I'm a huge like criminal justice person. I guess that's why I watch so many cop shows. Like, I would love to be a cop, but I don't think I could do that, you know. I don't think I could pull that off too well. So, what else? I've always wanted to be in like a government, like FBI job, just because I feel like that would be, and not so much like, oh, I'm a cop, but more like the sciencey FBI. But then again, that's not really gonna help me get to my bigger picture. So I'm not really sure which like career path I'm headed down to, but what I want to ultimately do is, my big plan right now is I really want to advocate children's, especially women's rights, like female children's rights in countries such as, like, you know, in Africa. I know that's not a country, but in the countries of Africa, in the Middle East, in India, in China, like that area. This year on YouTube there was like a playlist of videos about, you know, advocating women's rights, and I saw these few interviews of girls in like different countries, and a lot, like, and then I saw one about, you know, in general why we need to, you know, bring more awareness to this issue. And mostly it was that a lot of girls who are, I mean, even 10 to like 15, they are forced to be married and have families and stuff at such a young age, and they aren't really provided with a choice. Well, they're never really provided with a choice, no education. That's one issue that like really, I don't know, it just really like made me sad, and that's one thing I really want to fix in the world. And I just want to, even if I'm not able to accomplish that specific thing, even though I would like to, I just want to be able to help kids in some way around the world. So that's basically, you know, where I'm headed, but I don't know exactly how to get there. So I'm hoping that either with a law degree, because that helps with political relationships in a country, trying to help other kids, or I was thinking if you're a doctor, then you have a medical degree, and on top of helping them, you could actually open like clinics and stuff, and women's clinics and children's clinics to make them healthier and stuff. So I don't really know right now what I'm going to do, but that's kind of the area of, like, I just really want to help people. So